All right, well, Mabel and I are heading off. We are going to the mountains. Gonna go do some geocaching and some hiking. We got to make a pit stop here in town first and get some fuel. I've only got about a quarter tank. The truck says it's got 231 kilometers to empty, but where we're heading, there are no services or anything, so I want to make sure we've got enough to get the whole way. So that's going to be stop number 1. I only put in about 40 bucks worth. Cochrane, for some reason, has like some of the highest fuel prices around, and so I do everything in my power to avoid supporting the service stations here. So 40 bucks got my range back up to about 400 some kilometers, which should be plenty for what we need to do today. Temperature gauge says it's about 19 degrees. I think we're heading for a high of about 26 today, so be fairly warm out there. Got lots of water, got Mabel's water hole in the back, so we're set. Kind of let you get a look at where we're going here. We're going to be heading down out into the Sibbald Flats, Jumpingpound Creek kind of area. This is the same place we were, a couple episodes ago, I guess, when we were out camping at Little Elbow, and we came at it from the south that time. This time I'm coming at it from the north. So there we go. We got Moose Mountain there just to the left of the road. And coming up here is about where we leave the pavement and get onto some gravel. Okay, we made it. You can see why I wanted to do the south ridge of Jumpingpound. If you look at, I'll try and throw a shot up here or a clip up here of all the cars that were at the main trailhead, the route that most people take to go up. It was packed and crowded. Look around what I've got here. One car and us. So that's kind of cool. Much quieter a route. I don't know if I'm going to do the entire thing. It all is going to depend on my stamina and, more importantly, Mabel's stamina. We'll see how it goes, how far we get, but we're just going to go out. We're going to enjoy a walk along the ridge, find a few geocaches, and basically just enjoy this great August day. So almost immediately here, as I was throwing on my backpack, I quickly discovered, crap, my bear spray is not attached to the backpack. It must have come loose and is in the bench where we store all our hiking gear by the entrance at the house. So that's not good. That's gonna probably also be a limiting factor in how far in I want to go here. So yeah, not cool. I really do want to admire that scenery though while we're here. Beautiful spot. So like I said earlier, if this looks familiar, it's because it is the same trail Emily and I walked in a little ways on a few weeks back in a couple episodes ago. So gonna go a little bit further this time than we did that day. Also is interesting to note on the maps on the geocaching site, this still shows this as an actual road. You can actually follow it quite a ways in and catch up with some of the trails that go up Moose Mountain. So that might be an interesting hike for a future day to see how far we can follow this old road. It's been decommissioned now, of course, and it's just a hiking trail. And I did make sure, given the extremely dry conditions out here, that I parked the truck in an area where the growth is quite short, so that there's no chance of a hot exhaust setting off any sort of wildfire. So there is a sign here. We have reached the junction where what shows, like I said on the maps, as an old road heads off to the right. But the trail we want to follow after we cross this little bridge here turns left and starts going up the hill. So that's where we're heading this time. That will be a future exploration, I hope, down this way. Okay, so here's the breakdown. I've reached the first geocache site. The terrain is 4.5 and the name talks about being on a branch up a tree. Well, there's been a few trees here at ground zero. I haven't been able to see the cache from the ground. I checked some previous logs and it sounds like that's not unusual. A couple people mentioned they couldn't see it till they started up. Now normally I don't climb alone, but this tree looks quite solid with some pretty thick branches. At least I assume it's this tree. It seems to be the one that's most reasonably likely to be climbed. So I have shed the pack. I've tied Mabel to a tree so that she can't go anywhere. And I'm going to see if I go up a couple branches or if I can get started going up a couple branches, whether or not I see anything. Like I said, I don't see anything looking up from the ground here, but I am kind of looking into the sun. So I'm going to put you in my pocket and see what happens if I can even get started. Okay, so I got started. I'm probably not very high off the ground if you were on the ground looking up. Like maybe my feet are about 6 feet in the air, but it feels a lot higher. But the good news is I spotted the cache. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but I'll try and zoom in. I think you might be looking at it right in that area. So it's about 6 feet above my head. And again, these branches are all pretty strong. The tree is very much alive. So I think it's reachable for me. I'm going to see if I can go up a couple more. So I'm just sitting on a branch here. I got some weight on the branch. I got a sturdy grip on this branch. I think if I stand up here, I'll be able to reach it. So it's just beyond my hand here as I sit. So I'm gonna have to stand, see if I can find it or reach it. I do have a pencil in my pocket. Hopefully once I get the cache in hand, I can reach the pencil. So I'm putting you back in the pocket again. And it's not a good idea to look down, but I thought I'd let you look down and see about where I am. There we go. I got the logbook in the cache. I didn't even have to stand up. I just had to sort of kneel. So I'm going to get signed in. There's already a pencil with the logbook, so I don't have to reach into my pocket. And then it's time to get down out of this tree and carry on with the hike. I did. I'm back on the ground. I'll see if I can spot the cache from the ground here. I really can't. I'll see when I get back to the computer if I can highlight it in this shot for you. So got a little dirty on the arm, a little bit of blood there from a scratch on the hand, but much better than it could have been. Okay, so we're heading back on the trail, just crossing this meadow here. That was fun. Now, I did have a brief stretch of time I'm going to spin around here as Mabel's tying me up along my feet. I did have a brief stretch of time as a firefighter, so heights and uncomfortable situations aren't total strangers to me. And I also feel it gives me a good background for assessing risk. By the same token, I also know nobody who ever called the fire department started out thinking that that's what they were going to have to do. So I know how fast things can go south in a hurry on you. So glad we got that one done. Don't do what DroneOCan does. Sometimes it's best to just leave it behind and get it another day when you have somebody with you in better conditions. Although, still was a lot of fun. Okay, found one more along the trail that I didn't bother to film. I'm now at a junction here. Trail behind me, to my left, is continuing up the Jumpingpound Ridge. And the trail, if I turn 180 degrees to my, or turn 180 degrees to my left again, is a light scrambling route up to the Canyon Creek Hill Summit, or Canyon Hills Summit. I don't know what it's called. I just read about it on the cache page and learned about it. That way looks more interesting for now. I'm going to try it and see what it looks like. See how it goes having a dog tethered to me. I don't think there's any good route or any bad route. I think it's just a matter of keep heading up. Mabel seems to favor this direction, so let's try it. Okay, quick update. You'll notice there's no rocks now. I decided that in this heat, those rocks were too exposed and would probably be too tiring for Mabel and I. So I decided to come up kind of the east side of the ridge and kind of follow the rock band up this steep mossy hill. So I don't know if it'll show on camera, but there's kind of the rocks and the top. And Mabel and I are going to follow this grassy, sunny path up there. It's about 40 or 50 meters to go. Probably like a 20 or 30 up, maybe. Probably 20. It seems like 30. But that's the plan. We'll get up there, we'll find the cache, duck into some shade, grab some water, and then evaluate how much further we want to keep going. Okay, emerging back into the open here. Cache is up there. So there's still going to be some mild scrambling involved. I'm not sure how I'm going to get the dog up there yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so not as bad as I thought, I don't think. There's kind of a hidden path that goes up the right side of these rocks. I think it's going to get us up there pretty easily. We'll see. Okay. Check out this view. Looking down at... Oops, sorry. Looking down at Canyon Creek there. That's beautiful. That's about where we parked. So, Mabel and I have gained a fair bit of elevation. Mabel just wants to hunker down in that shady spot in the moss. But I think we have to work our way... Oops, I can't really... I have my sunglasses on, I can't see what the viewfinder sees, but we have to work our way up through there, I think. Now that we're up here, this is actually quite the little cliff face just over to the side. That's why I keep Mabel on a leash. At least I have a chance to stop her from going over if she does something stupid. Or, by the same token, she has a good chance to pull me over if she does something stupid. Although given our history, it's more likely to be me that does something stupid. Alright, let's find this thing. Holy crap. We made it. This is really amazing. I can't believe we got up here with the dog on a leash. But man, I want to get on to flatter ground here as fast as I can. So, we got her. We found it. I let out a yeah, baby, yeah, like Austin Powers when I uncovered the rock pile that it was hidden in. What a great spot for a geocache. I mean, look around. That is incredible. Panoramic views all the way from basically the northwest right through to the southeast. And look down. We're on the side of this rock face here. It's a pretty amazing spot to be. While we're looking down, I'd like to point out proper hiking boots. I finally broke down and bought a set, and I wore them all through the trailer rally last weekend, and I've worn them around town while out hiking with Mabel or walking the Mabel around town. So they've been slowly getting broken in. This is their first real test. They've been super good. I'm really happy with them. So much better than trying to hike in my old runners. So yeah, good day all around. But man, I got to get out of this sun. Hello, are you still there with me? That's good. I was getting ready to put the cache away, and I forgot I had set the camera down on my lap, and it took a tumble about 10 feet down the rocks. So I'm glad to see it survived and it's still working. Now I also left my hiking stick over on the other side here. I had to set it down while we were scrambling up the rocks to get up here, so I have to make sure I don't forget it. It's kind of in a shady spot, so that'll be a good spot to stop and get some water. And the dog is licking the blood off my legs, which is a bad sign. I think she's tenderizing me for a future meal. All right, let's get off these rocks. Oh boy, Mabel, that looks good. I could use the same. Oh my God, that's good. So I think my plan is to work back over to the main trail that we were on. We'll go pick off one, maybe two more caches along this trail, just depending on how we feel. We'll do one for sure and evaluate. I do want to make sure, I'm cognizant of the fact that according to the Garmin Tempe sensor, that it is 25 degrees out here and we're in the shade right now. So it is hot out here and it has been a fairly strenuous effort, and I do not want to risk overheating Mabel. The dog will follow you right up until the moment they can't. And so I want to make sure I don't put too much pressure on her and go too far. And it's funny, I just looked at the trip odometer. It's been about an hour and a half since we left the truck, and we have only covered 1.5 kilometers. But I feel like today's been a really fun adventure. There's been some really great caches, some really great quiet solitude out here in the mountains. So yeah, it's not about how far, it's not about how many. It's about the experience, and today's experience has been a great one, and so there's no need to ruin that by pushing too hard. So we'll see when we get back on the trail here how we feel, but we got a fair amount of bushwhacking to go to get back onto anything that resembles a trail. And there we go. That wasn't so bad, and suddenly we're back on the trail. So that's our direction for the next cache. Basically, it keeps working its way uphill from here. There we go. Found the last cache. It's funny, I should have trusted my gut. I walked right past it on the way in here off the trail because the GPS told me I still had about 15 meters to go. And then after a whole lot of searching around and around and around and not finding anything, I read some previous logs that mentioned the coordinates are off a fair bit on this one. So I came back to where I first thought it might be, and indeed it was there. So sometimes it pays to trust your gut over the technology. But I think we're going to call it for here. These caches have all taken longer to find than I thought they would. They've been a little bit more adventurous and involved than I thought they'd be. I mean, just check this out. I mean, there's my arm. It's marked up and scratched and bleeding, and that's okay, because anyone who has geocached with me for any length of time knows one of my mantras is sweating, bleeding, and crying. If you're not doing at least 2 of the 3, you're not trying hard enough. I've definitely got the bleeding down. I've definitely got the sweating down. So that means we tried hard enough. Let's get out of here before it ends up into the crying game. I really do look forward to coming back here again. The trail is nicely well marked, at least when you stay on it and don't go crazy looking for caches like I did. It's not nearly as busy as the main route up to the summit, so it kind of is a little bit better for those of us who don't necessarily like hiking on crowded trails. And I think now that I've got a bunch of these caches done on the lower end, so I don't have to spend as much time looking for them next time we come back, we can just concentrate on getting up the trail further. So that'll make for a nice return visit in a future episode. It's been really fun exploring this trail, though. This is a trail I've never been on, never really checked it out before. And yeah, it's quite nice. In the spring here, this little creek would be running to give Mabel something to drink. Right now it's completely dry. But yeah, it's nicely maintained, nice bridge here and everything. Very nice trail. I'm glad not too many people seem to know about it yet. Hopefully this video doesn't change that. Although it would be nice if it actually got enough views to have an impact in that way. And I can start to see my first flashes of red through the trees. Man, we're just about back at the truck. Phew, there she is. We've made her. All right, back at the truck. So, pretty short hike, 3.44 kilometers round trip. Way shorter than I expected today. I was thinking we'd probably do 6 or 8 maybe. But like I said, these caches were a lot more involved than I expected them to be. So that's okay. I just wanted to say, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much for watching. Actually, well, thank you very much for watching, even if you kind of skipped ahead to get to this point in the video. But YouTube algorithm seems to be doing a lot more to surface small channels like this one in the feed. I don't know if you've noticed that. I know I certainly see a lot more channels with 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 subscribers being recommended to me. So if that's happening to other people as well, then there's a very good chance that you've stumbled across this channel for the first time. And I hope you enjoyed what you saw. We do hiking, geocaching, historic places, museums, abandoned places, camping adventures, vintage trailers, that sort of thing. So there's a wide variety of stuff. I hope you consider subscribing and sticking around and watching some other videos, including, let's say one that I'm going to try and get it to put up in the corner right about there. So we'll see you in the next video.